This life is but a game of chess, players in pieces, no more, no less. The king may fall, the pawns arise, all end in dust beneath the skies. Chess is a war game, albeit an abstract one in which the sides do not represent countries, pieces that only generically represent real units, and a movement system which is not affected by the terrain. And yet chess has been highly influential in terms of print wargames and their development, most noticeably in terms of movement. The use of squares, hexes, point-to-point, and area movement in wargames for over 60 years was heavily influenced, if not originated, in chess. But chess and games of war have other similarities as well, from their use of pawns as frontline soldiers or skirmishers that preceded the main elements of the army, to specialty units such as rooks and bishops, which offer diagonal or straight-line attacks to smash into the enemy forces, followed by knights, whose mounted steeds allow access behind enemy lines, even if such avenues appear to be blocked, and the queen, who represents the most powerful forces of the army, combining the abilities of the bishop and the rook, akin to Alexander the Great's companion cavalry, having the ability to dominate the battlefield with sheer threat alone. The king stands alone, protected by his personal guard. His forces are not as powerful per se, although they can move and react in any direction. However, his life must be protected at all cost, because his loss means destruction for his forces. In wargames, we have a similar division of forces. Infantry, cavalry, artillery, and headquarter units are present on both sides. One noticeable difference is that the capture of the opponent's headquarters or leader does not necessarily win the game. Although, to be fair, chess is more along the lines of ancient warfare, where kings were often present on the field. Their loss in battle most often meant that their forces would be disheartened and scatter before the enemy. In games in which the overall leader of a country or empire is not present, the loss of the commander will still be a hard blow, but not necessarily a fatal one. And just like in chess, it is the effective combining of forces that wins the day. A coordinated attack from units of different abilities provides the best chance of success. Known as combined forces, it is a tactic that is often encouraged in war games. Another aspect of chess and war games have in common is the use of tempo. Tempo is not the speed in which you make your decisions or moves on the board. It is the pace by which you take control of the game. To put it simply, a player gains tempo when they achieve their goal in fewer moves, moves that outpace the opponent. This can be accomplished by taking a more direct route or by causing your opponent to make additional moves toward their goal. Gaining tempo can be achieved by the following means: developing your forces faster and more efficiently compared to your opponent, creating threats that cause your opponents to react while not costing you any additional movement, positioning forces that your opponent must respond to, and sacrificing units that cause your opponents to commit more of their material. A player who has the advantage in tempo is most likely to win. Of course, there are exceptions, but for the most part, it is advantageous to gain tempo whenever possible. You can gain tempo whether on offense or defense. To do so, you need to understand the victory conditions, the key areas of the battlefield, and know the rules that govern movement of your forces. Moving your troops is not enough to gain tempo. Each move must carry a tangible value that translates to putting your side in a better position in terms of location, momentum, and causing your opponent to react. Although the obvious movement captures important crossroads, towns, or valuable assets, causing your opponent to respond when they'd rather be doing something else, it is crucial toward gaining tempo. Gaining tempo does not happen with a single move or action, but rather a series of smaller moves and actions that build momentum over time. Think in terms of 2, 3, 4, or more game turns ahead when you direct your forces across the battlefield. By being patient, you may cause your opponent to assist your efforts unwittingly. This may require some deception on your part, for example, moving some forces toward one objective while the goal may be to capture another. There will be risk involved in your attempts to gain tempo. You will have to take some chances which may backfire if the dice do not go your way or your opponent does something unexpected. In boxing terms, gaining tempo is fighting off the front foot, which means that you are vulnerable to actions or results that cause you to shift to your back foot. While the easy answer is that you should be flexible, it is more difficult to react when you are trying to execute a specific plan. So you may want to incorporate a plan B that also gains tempo but provides an alternate course for your troops. Gaining tempo is gaining momentum, which means forcing your opponent to react to your actions instead of initiating their own. When properly executed, you make victory for your forces easier to achieve. Thank you for watching. You can find more videos on how to play games, along with rules explanations, play examples, unboxings, and more when you subscribe to the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel. In addition, there is a monthly Speak Out and Play podcast which is posted on the Seek Out and Play YouTube channel on the last Wednesday of each month. The audio version comes out 48 hours earlier on Buzzsprout and Spotify. At least one new video is released every week, so I will see you next Wednesday.